my first question for you is, what is your reaction to the kind of extended process of electing McCarthy to Speaker of the House?
That's what democracy looks like. It's messy. You know what? We negotiated different things. We were talking to each other. And those rules, that's what the thing was really about, was the rules package we're going to vote on today. All of them but one was resolved a month and a half ago. And people want to make sure that we can comport ourselves as congressmen and women to the best of our ability to help the American people. That's what that was about. It was, quite frankly, kind of amazing to be there through that whole thing.
That kind of leads me to my next question. After seeing that process and kind of the difficulty of it, are you concerned that it's going to be difficult to get things done in your new role?
No, I'm not. A lot of people are pitching us as being in disarray, but we're not. We're unified and incredibly strong. We have to remember that we have the same majority that Nancy Pelosi had in 2020. So we've got the same majority that she had. We tend to, as Republicans, we don't automatically vote en masse. And I think that's a good thing. We've got a lot of independent thinkers in our conference, and we speak our mind, and then we come to a conclusion, then we move forward.
And for you and other newly elected officials, you had to wait to be sworn in. What was that like for you and your loved ones?
I mean, I lived in a poison oak bush for a week. I was sitting in a comfortable leather chair. I could get up and get coffee and, go to the restroom without worrying about being shot. Like in my former job as a Navy SEAL, I could have done that in perpetuity. So we were there to work. The people of the 3rd Congressional District sent me here to work for them. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Okay. So moving on from that, you've talked about how you wanted to be elected to the Ag Committee. What
Yes.
would your top priority be?
For the Agriculture Committee, we got the Farm Bill coming up, and it's very important. So really a bunch of that pertains directly to farming, and then the majority of it is tied to SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So we've got a lot of folks, when I grew up, my brother and I, it was abject rural poverty. So we had government cheese and we had subsidized school lunches. And I think that looking at that, making sure our children have food that they can eat is really an important thing. And so I want to look at that part, the big part of it. And then the farming part, we're an agricultural district. It bounces in between our first and second GDP, ag. And so I want to make sure that our farmers are able to feed the world in the best way possible. I told the guy who's going to be the chairman of the Agriculture Committee that I want to be the cheese king of Congress. So if the steering committee votes me onto the Ag Committee, it's my intent to become the dairy expert in this House. We're the dairy state, for Pete's sakes.
Okay, that makes sense. During your campaign, you said you want to represent all of Wisconsin, Democrat and Republican. How do you plan on doing that?
Well, I started the other day when I walked across the aisle and spoke to Mark Pocan and asked him if he got the letter that I mailed him. And he said, "Did you mail it through the House?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, it could take like 3 weeks." So federal government efficiency at work. Hey, listen, I can find common ground with people. I really, speaking to my 19 sheriffs, the biggest concern that they have is that they've become the largest mental health treatment and storage facility, essentially housing facility for people who are in mental health crises. And that's all 19 of them. So if people think about this, the largest mental health crisis treatment center and housing center are our jails. Well, that's not okay. It is not. So that Mark Pocan also understands, he's got 5 counties, I believe, that's an issue. So I'll work with Mark Pocan to help solve that problem if I can. That's how you do that. You just do it.
Is there anything that I missed that you wanted to talk about today?
I would like to say thank you. Say thank you to every single person that helped with the campaign. And Sarah Jane and I are not going to be able to communicate to you guys over a Zoom interview or a phone call how much we appreciate the responsibility that you've allowed me to take. I take this incredibly seriously. I'll be getting up every single day to represent every person in this district. That's the 48% that didn't vote for me and the 52% that did. I will be doing that today. I got a email from somebody yesterday. I'll tell you, this job is serious. His brother is a veteran who was having a mental health crisis. He applied to the VA for mental health care. And the day they got the acceptance letter, that man committed suicide. He's a retired major. I didn't ask him what political party he's from. I don't care. That is an American hero that ended his life because he couldn't get into the Veterans Administration in a prompt manner. That is not okay. And I'm not settling for that. So I spoke to that man, the major's father and his brother. And when I get off this interview, I'm going to call his widow and tell her that I'll do everything I can to make sure that doesn't happen again. That's
What
the best that the federal government can do.
what do you think would be the first steps in kind of helping some of our Wisconsin veterans?
Well, I've set up a meeting with the Veterans Administrator, the Department of Veterans Affairs liaison officer here. I think that's next Tuesday. So I need to get a holistic picture from the Washington side, DC side, about what's going on. And to help our Wisconsin veterans, it's the same type of stuff. We have mental health issues. A lot of men and women have been diagnosed with PTS. I was, and I talk about it on national television. I talk about it on local television. I mean, if I can do anything to prevent someone from committing suicide, I will. So that's a big issue. We're a rural district, so they've been messing about a bit with this community care programs. So the Veterans Administration bureaucracy is not paying enough money to dentists, so dentists are stopping taking VA, and that's not all right. I want to expand the ability for veterans to get rural health care so that they don't have to drive 3 hours to Tillamook. And I am 100% service-connected disabled veteran. I'll talk about that freely. So I get it. I get all my health care through the VA. I'm still getting all my health care through the VA. This issue is important and it's very personal.
Well, thank you. I think you covered everything.
Wow, that's a first.
That was quick.